What's going on, freaky people? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Zero Gravity. I am the official treasurer of the spooky, scary department here at Big Go Belt Media. And today I'm going to lay down some of my thoughts on the newest installment of the franchise and also one of my most anticipated horror releases of this year, A Quiet Place Day One. I have been waiting so long for this. Y'all can catch the film in theaters only this Friday, June 28th. So let's keep it cute and spoiler free for now. If you haven't seen any of the franchise, A Quiet Place is an apocalyptic reality going down on the East Coast when some long, leggy aliens called the Death Angels invade Earth, posing the ultimate threat to society by absolutely obliterating anything that makes even the slightest bit of noise. So if you are completely new to the franchise, A Quiet Place Day One is a totally fine place to jump in from the start. So the first two installments follow a family and their fight for survival in upstate New York. But this newest installment takes it back to the day one, the first day of the end of the world at the epicenter, which of course is New York City. The epicenter is always New York City. In fiction, in nonfiction, it's always my city for some reason. Now, I love this franchise, but I also have some thoughts. Don't get me wrong. One of my main criticisms with the first two installments is its lack of diversity in casting, location, relatability. A Quiet Place has always been a suburban white nightmare, which is totally fine, I guess, but day one specifically addresses that. And I'm very thrilled for this switch up. So our main character is the lovely and well-loved Lupita Nyong'o. She plays Sam, a New York City native who has a very clear idea of who she is, what she wants, and exactly how that is going to happen. She exudes a sort of positive stubbornness, which I absolutely adore because it's accurate to the city culture of New York women of color. That's real stuff. I see myself in her, and I see many of the women who surround me physically and in my personal life in this character as well. And that definitely means something to me. There's over 5 million people in the city. I hope that a third of them can go see this movie and feel seen the way that I did. So the change in setting from upstate to downstate is also a huge positive for me. I know it's not the easiest thing for production companies to pull off because it's very expensive over here, but horror works super well in New York City. It's already chaotic as hell on the best day that we could possibly have, so why not throw another wrench in there just to see what might happen? I don't know. This is horror, so we should be welcoming the chaos to its absolute limits. Am I right? So, watching the Death Angels infest New York City architecture like a nest of like creepy, crawly spiders is just perfect. It is just perfect. What's the point of long, leggy monsters if they don't have buildings and crazy skylines and subway tunnels to crawl all over? I don't know why we're seeing this in the third movie of the franchise, but better late than never, I guess. So just please don't bring me back to the suburbs for the next installment. I think I've been too blessed with this one. I don't want to go back upstate. I don't. But this is a positive review, so I won't go too far down on this tangent, but tragedy striking New York City has happened before, and it's very important to New York culture to remember that. There's a very specific reason why the city visuals of this film might make New Yorkers feel closer to it than the first two installments. But also, that being said, if you or someone you know commonly avoids triggers that relate to September 11th, 2001, this might not be the movie for you because it's pretty on point. It's pretty realistic. The CG is CGing. It's doing all the things, which might be, I understand, a trigger for some people. So just keep that in mind for yourself or for somebody that you might know. But speaking of sensitivity, Joseph Quinn provides that incredible level softness and vulnerability to Lupita's strong and hard-headed character. The two character types just can't succeed without each other. And I love the way that stereotypically on screen their gender would equate to the opposite. But no, in this case, this man's blind optimism is the only thing saving him from his unimaginable anxiety, especially in the situation. And the woman in the situation has the working man's attitude and drive to a complete fault. I know we know people in our personal lives just like the two of them. But Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn, they are both such incredible actors. If you didn't believe it before, which I would say that you're crazy to not see this, but you will believe it even more with little to no dialogue, and that is a promise. I am so serious. I'm very glad that I just happened to have tissues in my bag when I went to the screening, because I would have been drowning if I didn't have that emergency Kleenex in my bag. Also, a nice unexpected surprise is Alex Wolff. I really need to stop imagining him as little high school Peter from Hereditary, because he's all grown up here with the beard, full beard, and everything. He's also a just really great fit for this film. He's great at evoking emotion without having to mention any dialogue at all. I think that's what brings this cast together, is just very, very strong in their physical acting as well as their dialogue. So the last thing I will say in the spoiler-free zone is whatever happened to Jimon Hounsou. So if you follow my horror movie commentary online, you might know that Jimon Hounsou's involvement in A Quiet Place Part 2 really upset me in my corner of the horror community. Part 2 came right at the heat of the pandemic protests and furious online activism. The horror community took that time to disassemble racism in the genre and the tropes and the industry stereotypes that we need to acknowledge and destroy quickly. Then, here comes A Quiet Place Part 2. I do understand that this movie was probably made before we were having these discussions, as the pandemic delayed its release a very long time, if I'm remembering correctly. But nevertheless, A Quiet Place Part 2 comes along, which holds way, way too tightly onto those same tropes that we were just discussing, having these conversations in the community, and places them onto an Oscar-nominated A-list actor. Kind of crazy to me. And the worst part of everything is his character wasn't even granted a name, just Man on Island in the credits. So fast forward to this current release, Jimon Hounsou returns as his character, who we now know his name is Henry, to provide some actual context to who this man actually was, because we didn't get any of that in Part 2. His involvement in A Quiet Place Day 1 wasn't really enough for me. He's an incredible actor, and his character in the franchise is clearly very seasoned and very useful as well. So I don't know, why not put him to more use, especially if the studios are paying A-list actor money? It would have been nice to get a little bit more full circle with his character. But his role in A Quiet Place Day 1 felt more like an Easter egg to the universe than anything. But at least some closure was given. So I am not mad at it. And as a whole, I really do love this film. So I can't bag on it too much. But I do have opinions every now and then. So A Quiet Place Day 1 separates itself from its predecessors by finding a story about finding personal peace and solitude in whatever situation you might find yourself in, rather than focusing on the loss of loved ones and family value themes. This really says City Kid to me, and that's why it's got to be my favorite installment of the franchise so far. So that's it. That's all I can say. I am walking on thin ice avoiding spoilers for you people, so you better get your butts in seats this weekend to see A Quiet Place Day 1. June 28th is when it starts. That would be tomorrow. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I have been Zero Gravity. See you guys soon.